right, next up here at IndyPy, we've got our Right Brain Talk with Nick Birch. He's a co-founder of Propel Up. I'm really excited to have him here, and I hope you guys take away from his talk all kinds of awesomeness. So Nick, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. It's really cool to be here. I've been attendee of these for about 4 years now, and as you're going to see, it's kind of interesting the fact that I'm here, and also talking about continuous learning for developers, because as I'm going to show you, I've got to give you a few disclaimers first off. So number one, I'm not a software developer. I don't actually write code every day. I don't even have a software engineering degree or a computer science degree. And actually, I do have an engineering degree. It was in mechanical engineering. But this was one of my experiences with, one of my few experiences in undergrad with coding. And as you can see, this was like one of my worst grades in college, was a C in a computer applications class. Now granted, that was MATLAB. And MATLAB and I just did not get along. I figured it out after a while. I had another class after this that was mechatronics, where we used C, and I really enjoyed that. But I've had always a great relationship with coding. I have to also make another disclaimer, and that's that, one, I forgot about this in the beginning, I tend to talk really fast, but I also don't drink coffee, but I drank coffee this afternoon. So I try to remind myself to slow down, but if I'm talking really fast, somebody just go like this if I'm talking too fast. Because it's probably going to be worse since I drank coffee today. So in second, this isn't necessarily a talk that's exactly targeted at developers. The idea of this talk is it really applies to whatever kind of role you're in and whatever your profession is, the reality that you really do need to be able to continuously learn new skills. So why you as a developer, as most of you are in this crowd tonight, why should you care what a non-developer has to say about continuous learning? Well, I do know something about development and learning, and I've actually started 2 different companies, actually a third company that's not a logo up here. I've started 3 different companies, technically, including these 2 that I'm going to claim that are related to learning software development. And so one of them you guys have probably heard of, 1150 Academy. I know there's some graduates here, and people have taken courses there throughout the years. I helped start that about 4 years ago now. Up in Carmel, and now they operate out of Launch Fishers. So a really great program. A little biased in that, but it's a good program. And then also a company called Propel Up, which is a continuous learning platform. And I'm not going to make this a sales pitch for the platform, but this is the idea of this platform that we're building is to be able to continuously help people learn new skills over their career. So why should you actually care about continuous learning? Why does it matter to you? Well, technology is moving really fast. Right? It's hard to keep up. If you disconnected yourself from the internet for a year and came back, the world might look very different for you. And then second, you can always get better. Right? We've got a wide range of ages here, and even my dad said, who's a 63-year-old non-retired iron worker, which I don't understand why he's not retired yet. You can always learn something new. He's even trying to learn how to learn some construction management skills so he can continue to work for some reason. I don't understand why, but so you can always get better no matter how good you think you are, no matter how much experience you have with a technology or a tool, you can always get better. And then the reality is that your job might depend on it. And so some of you guys that raised your hands and they're looking for jobs, or as the workforce changes, as new technologies come out, you have to be able to continuously learn. Do we happen to have anyone in the crowd who is like, for example, has been a COBOL developer? Anybody? Fortran? Okay. How many jobs could you get today if you still only knew Fortran, do you think? You're eating pizza. Yeah. Well, it's true. If you were really good at Fortran, or there's actually some insurance companies hiring for COBOL because the systems are still around. But in reality, those systems are going away. And even, for example, I had a guy reach out to me the other day who's been a DBA, and he says, I can't find jobs anymore because everyone's moved to the cloud, and it's a slightly different skill set. So you really have to be able to continuously learn. So next, let's move from why to what. What is it? How do you decide what it is you should actually be learning? Well, and this is a process, this is not something this is my process for even how I go through kind of deciding what do I want to continue to learn. And first I start with a baseline. What do I already know? And then I ask, okay, what's going to help me get to the next level? And for me, I would think of myself more as kind of a salesperson, entrepreneur. So I need to learn more things about building financial models or selling or marketing or leadership. So I think about, okay, what are my existing skills and what is it that I need to learn that's going to help me get to the next level? And then as a developer, you think about, well, what does the job market say? So for example, if you really wanted to get a job as a mobile developer here in Indy, there are not a ton of jobs for that skill set here. So if you want to become a native iOS or Android developer, it's going to be hard to get a job in those fields here in Indianapolis particularly. And then where's the industry going? So even if you're a Python developer or a JavaScript developer, or did you raise that?
10.
Okay. No matter what technology you use, whatever it is, you have to be able to keep up with where is that industry going? Where are the new things? If COBOL is going away, you probably want to know that before that actually happens so you can react to the market, learn a new set of skills. And then finally, and this is the one where I probably have the biggest debate with particularly developers because I understand as someone whose brain is wired like an engineer that you want to experiment and you want to work on fun things. But I would say if your goal is to be employed, I would say you want to consider this, but this should be either your spare time or it should be your last consideration of what you're actually going to learn is what is interesting to you. And so right now, for example, that could be things like blockchain, for example. Very interesting space. If you want to move to California or Boston or somewhere like that, there's a lot of companies using that technology. It's going to be hard to find a job here locally. But something great to experiment with in your spare time to understand what are the potential applications of these different technologies. So then finally, let's look at kind of the how. So we've gone through why do you want to continuously be able to learn? How do you think about what you should be continuously learning? And then let's look now at the how. And this is going to be kind of my exhaustive list of some different options. And so first is Meetups. And congratulations, you guys can check this one off because you're here tonight. Congratulations. So Meetups are great. And obviously most of you guys are Python developers, that's why you're here at this one. But obviously, regardless of the technology, you can find a Meetup group of people that are working on those types of technologies, just about anything here in Indy particularly. Second one would be conferences. And obviously, you guys alluded to those already. There's some regional ones coming up. They're usually national or international ones. And then there's also, these are more what I follow within the technology world, are things that are more kind of large-scale, where is technology going kind of conferences. Because that tends to look at things, for example, like how is AI or how is blockchain going to change industries so that I, as an entrepreneur, coming from my lens, my perspective, how do I think about what are the topics that are going to be of interest to either companies or investors going forward? Another great one is mailing lists. So whether you're an entrepreneur or a developer, there's almost always mailing lists that people that are out there spending a lot of time aggregating resources or sifting through things that are available to read or finding interesting blog posts. Indie Hackers is a great one, yeah. Actually, so Indie Hackers, if you haven't signed up for that one, that's a group that's run by actually the guys that run the Ruby Meetup here in town, Miles and the gang there.
They have a new president.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Gabrielle.
Oh. You would, okay, I guess there's a reason you would know that. Yeah. So there's usually mailing lists for either local things or I know, for example, like there's great email lists around that people have told me about for like Node.js or Python or others. If you talk to people like Calvin, I bet Calvin, for example, could give you a great idea of what kind of mailing list he follows where he keeps up on kind of what's new and going on within the Python community. Another good one is Twitter. How many of you guys have Twitter accounts? Not very many, okay.
Surprising.
Even if you aren't on Twitter and you don't like the discourse on Twitter, I would encourage you to be on there if only you use it as an aggregator of information. And what I mean there is you can go on there and follow people like Calvin, who's going to share out information that might be relevant to your field, which is Python. I actually know I follow the IndyPy handle, and I'll come through my feed all the time as he tweets out, I assume it's you. Colleen. Okay, so Colleen's tweeting out interesting articles on things with going on within the Python community. So another one is find a mentor.
Better than I do with Python.
So again, find the influencers wherever they may be and follow them. So the other one is to find a mentor. So find someone who is better than you at the thing that you want to learn and become better at. That's pretty self-explanatory. This is one that people think about less actually, and that's find a peer. There's actually there's a learning theory called social constructivism that's built around this idea of, I like referring it to this idea of metal sharpening metal. Right? So you can have two people that have equal sets of skills, and together they can make each other better by working together. Just as you can take two dull pieces of metal and rub them together and they become sharper, it could become collectively a sharper material. So you can actually learn a lot from other people that are at your skill level, or just kind of right around your skill level. The other one is, this is a big one that people don't think about, is making learning a habit. So one of the things that I do as an entrepreneur is I try to set aside about an hour or two my time is Sunday, I try to set aside time to learn. And sometimes that's as simple as going out and researching a different idea that I have. You know, if any of you guys think of yourselves as kind of, you want to be an entrepreneur or you are already, someone's always had like, well, I have this idea, right? We could do this and we could do this. Well, spend an hour doing research on what's going on in that market. That is learning. You're learning about what is out there, what is there a gap on, what are people saying about the existing solutions. But if you schedule that time, it becomes a habit. And regardless of, once you figure out, answer that what question, you're making sure that you're setting aside time to better yourself. And then also ask for evaluations. And this can be great from particularly peers and mentors. Particularly mentors. Mentors are probably the better one here. So find someone that could be a mentor, whether it's someone like a Calvin or otherwise. Don't all go ask Calvin today because I'm gonna get an angry email from him. But find someone in your company or in the community that you trust, that you have a relationship with, where you can have a really honest conversation and say, where are my gaps? What am I good at? Am I good at these kind of things, or and think of it in terms of where do you want to go? If you're just a developer and you want to become a senior, you want to become an architect or whatever that goal is, if you want to get better at something, ask for someone's opinion about where you're at in that journey. Another great one that people don't think about is teach and mentor others. So you actually learn a lot from trying to explain something to someone else. Right? That's how you really know you understand something, is if you can explain in a detailed way that they can understand. Right? That proves to yourself you actually have a comprehension around it. And then last, I'm going to just make a shameless plug. So, and there's an asterisk here that we're still in beta stage, but this is part of the idea of Propel Up, is to provide, not all, but to hit actually some of these points around helping you answer the what should I learn and how should I go about learning it. That's what our platform is really being designed to be able to do. So that's a presentation. I don't know how much time I have left. I purposely wanted to try to make time for questions, and I gave you guys some suggested questions. But if you guys have any questions about learning or technology or like why I never have tried to learn more about how to code, I welcome any questions with whatever time we've left.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
Since I have the microphone. First, I don't write angry emails. And then, do you have any suggestions for evaluation frameworks? I'd be happy to do evaluations, but the trickier part is probably how to probe as an evaluator.
Yeah, so that's a tough one so for some background, one of the things that Propel Up started out as was effectively like a mentoring platform. And one of the things that we saw as a challenge there was how do you give the mentors kind of a playbook for how do you go about even evaluating someone's baseline. And that's tough. And it's partially because everyone has different personalities. And so we tried to do a good job of trying to match, to the best we could, match up personalities. Because there has to be open and sharing and honest, there has to be trust between the two people that are communicating. So I would even start with saying that first, where you have to have some amount of trust in that feedback that someone is giving you, that you're not going to just close off. You're going to say, okay, well, why do you think I'm not good at that? Like, how did you decide that I could get better at this kind of thing? And the way we coached our gurus, we call them gurus, these mentors, to do this was we had always the individual start with the mentee say, have an idea of where do they want to go, and then that gave the mentors an idea of, okay, what kind of questions do I need to ask then to figure out what that gap is on where they want to get to. And a lot of times this was a case where we were helping people that were either kind of boot camp grads or they were early stage, and it was, okay, I want to get a job. How far is my skill set away from getting, being able to get a job?
Mm-hmm. All right, you may have any other questions for Nick before I ask another one? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Gene.
So how many people have signed up for Propel Up?
I think at this point, I haven't checked the numbers in the last week or two. I think it's like 65 or so. There's not a lot on there. So what you sign, if you go to our site right now and sign up, to be honest, you're mostly signing up for our email list as we continue to build the platform. What exists on the platform right now is, and what we're focused on building right now is what we call pathways. And so the idea there is, okay, you want to be a web developer, you want to be, ABC. Here is the curated list of resources that can help you get from point A to point B. Right? Effectively, that's what a lot of our gurus were doing, was once they figured out that gap, they'd say, the individual would come to me and say, well, okay, how do I get there? And the guru, instead of recreating content, which is what we did with 1150, where we create all this custom content, we said, well, let's go out and use existing content that's up to date, we don't have to pay to maintain. Let's go out and curate content that people can use to learn these different skills. So if you sign up today, you'll actually only see, I think there's two different pathways. And so we're actually doing a rewrite of the platform right now and work on building out some different ways to build these pathways. But to directly answer your question, I think we've got about 65-ish.
All right, I want to get to Tom's question.
Yeah.
Tom, you had a question.
Yeah. So the question was, how do I distinguish between what I need to learn and what I want to learn? Okay. Or what I need to spend my time on versus want to spend my time on, that kind of, does I get that answer? All right, had the question right? Okay. So I try to think, the way I formulate it for myself is I usually do, I do like kind of weekly planning, monthly planning, quarterly planning, and usually that arranges around the, and then also like yearly planning, and then, because I'm the CEO, I've also got like, all right, what's our 10, 5, 3-year kind of thing. And I'm kind of continuously reevaluating those. Excuse me. And what I try to think of it like I'm an engineer, and I effectively try to reverse engineer. All right, this is where we want to be this week. So in my case, a lot of my time is spent talking with investors, talking with potential customers, talking with potential team members, talking with potential partners. And so I think in terms of, all right, where do we need to be by the, what's this, June? Where do we need to be by the end of Q3? All right, what are the things that we need to get done in there? What are the things that I'm not good at that we do need to get done? And do I need to go learn how to do that? Or can I hire someone to do that? Or can I partner with someone to do that? So I'll give you a real example. So my job right now is sales, effectively, is my main job. I have a mechanical engineering degree. I didn't have a background in sales. So I have had to learn how to and like for example, our biggest customer is Liberty Mutual. And it wasn't actually that hard in this case, but it's usually not that easy to go in and sell. I can explain why it wasn't that hard. It's kind of an interesting story. Usually it's pretty hard to get into a big company like that and figure out, how do you figure out what they really want? How do you sell them on, we're in a beta phase, so how do they sell them on the vision of what this product can become and how it can solve some of their internal challenges? So I've had to learn that process of taking a company through a sales cycle, and then how to present that, for example, to investors, because investors are used to seeing like what do your deals look like, what the stage of each deal, what's the size of each deal. So how do you set up that pipeline and the status of all of that? So I meet people that are good at sales and good at enterprise sales in this case, and say, here's what I'm doing, what should I do different? And then they usually say, all right, well, go read this blog post, go watch this course on how to set up a simple sales pipeline and do it in Excel instead of Salesforce, for example.
Right, but I think part of Tom's question was, how do you balance that with the things you love?
That's fair. Yeah. It's to be honest, I'm answering this way because to me it's the truth. I am doing what I love. I love helping people learn. I love the idea of, I love building things, and everything around the company, everything learning about how to build a company. This is the interesting thing I tell people when I talk about entrepreneurship. I don't have a clue what I'm doing 90% of the time. I'm making it up as I go, but that's fun. I love doing that. But for example, there's balancing that with other things I do in my life that I do just for the enjoyment of it. Like I coach baseball, I play hockey, I volunteer a ton of other for Checkpoint Foundation for Youth, which is got an office over here. I love doing volunteer stuff, and to be honest, that's probably the harder thing for me to balance is the time I spend focused specifically on Propel Up, and the time I spend doing things, for example, like volunteering for organizations that I think are have really great causes.
All right, thank you very much,
so,
Nick.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm over time.
Everyone, let's give Nick a big round of applause. Thank you very much.